Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Louis Brantmeyer. I am your host for the Make Love Easy Code. I'm super excited to bring to you a badass expert in realms which you might not have thought about, or which some of you have probably thought very painfully and too much about. Uh, uh, Come onto the stage, Tim Wade. Welcome.
Hey, great to be here, Lewis. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm ready to dive in.
Amazing. So, who do you serve and how in this realm of like dating, relating, sex, intimacy, love, relationships?
I serve men exclusively, and the majority of them come into my practice through what I would call the wound of uh, a relationship crisis of some sort, usually an impending separation or divorce. And it's always in my community, it's the wife, the woman who says, you know what, I'm unhappy. I need space. I'll always love you, but I'm not in love with you. I don't know, all of these type of things. It's a little bit of the midlife crisis, mid-marriage crisis. And the men, myself included, are blindsided by that. They're like, wait, what? I didn't know. I didn't see. I didn't hear. And so their hair's on fire when I meet them usually because they're in damage control panic mode. What do I do? How can I fix it as quickly as possible? They're in free fall. So that's where I start with them. But the main thrust of what I do is how do you become the best version of you as a man, which puts you in the best position to perhaps repair, reconcile, but really rebuild or not rebuild, but build a new relationship with your partner
Hmm.
that's so much better than what you had
Hmm.
and still be outcome independent. Because guess what? We don't get to control the other person. I tell my clients, you have 100% ownership of your 50%. That's about it. But it's a lot. There's a lot to on your side of the street that we can talk about, deal with, and play with. So that's really what I do, and I do it through one-on-one coaching. I do live retreats 3 to 4 times a year, and also an online course that's like a self-study, and then some group coaching.
Wow. I'm imagining the Rescue Your Marriage Retreat. Probably not titled that, but that's great.
No, in fact, it's the one of the ones we do is called the Confident Man Ranch Retreat, and it's we work with horses as a metaphor for energy work and the feminine and all of that. And it's quite fun to do, and we've been doing it for I don't know. We just did our 13th one, ranch retreat, and actually 2 times ago, GQ magazine came and sent a reporter and participated fully and did a feature article on the retreat, and that was really something to see someone else's viewpoint. Like this is what it was like to experience it, and yeah, women and horses, okay, they're not the same, but horses are really, really sensitive energy creatures, and they read your energy, and not they can't speak your language, but they get you. They get body language, they get facial expressions, everything. Very sensitive, and they're very sensitive to pressure, and it turns negative pressure and positive pressure too. But it turns out women are too.
Huh.
They're really sensitive to when we pressure them in a way that they don't like. So
Hmm.
that's one of the things that we get to work with men on is how are you showing up? Do you even know that what happens when you walk into a room before you open your mouth? Um, and that's a big eye opener for most guys.
Man, this is becoming like there's a lot just based on what
There's a
you
lot. Yeah, yeah,
said.
there is.
So, we like to say in Make Love Easy, the worst thing for a man, or for a woman, excuse me, is to be stuck behind a parked car. Like a man who's leaving some of his potential, his purpose, even his prosperity on the table. And so when you're helping these men to reset to become their best selves, how does that play into either helping to prevent divorce or helping them to recover? Just curious.
That's a great question. And I agree. When a man doesn't take a leadership role in the relationship, which doesn't mean dictator or, any of that, um, when he doesn't take that, the woman feels compelled to kind of step into that masculine frame, and she doesn't like it. She'll do it, and she may do it pretty well. I don't know. My former ex-wife, who is my that's another story, but she has a very strong, she's a strong, powerful woman, but she wants me to be a leader, uh, and let her exhale and relax sometimes. So if I'm not in the driver's seat of my life, she's not happy about that. And when she steps into the masculine role, all of a sudden she's like, I'm growing a mustache and stuff. I don't like this. You did this to me, and very disgruntled and upset. And so if you want to either improve your marriage, take it up a notch, 2.0, 3.0, or bring it, to something new after it's already, hitting the rocks, you have to have something to invite your partner to. In other words, what we say is you have to have a life. And unfortunately, a lot of men, myself included, um, we get married and we have this idea that it's okay. Now we are joined at the hip. We do everything together. We like all the same things. We have all the same friends, which turn out a lot of times to be the husband of our wife's best friend or friends. That couple thing. Yeah, this is going to be your friend now. I don't even know him. It's like, well, you will. Um, And we just kind of abandon a bunch of stuff. I mean, lots of men who say, yeah, I don't really have any friends, or I let go of my friends, or I don't do things that I enjoy anymore because she doesn't like them. And I believe that having a whole life that you then bring together with someone else is magic. This is why, and for anybody out there who loves the movie Jerry Maguire, I apologize, but "You Complete Me" is the biggest line of malarkey I've ever heard in my life. It is a romantic myth. I mean, it's like, are you a partial person wandering around just hoping to be made whole by somebody else? Good luck on that one. That's kind of the definition of codependence.
Who have,
So,
yeah. We
yeah,
say
go ahead.
they don't make a hole, they make a hell.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a bumper sticker right there.
I don't know. I mean, like, I had to
I
have an
collect,
extra buffer.
I collect things that can be plaques and stuff. Anytime somebody says something, I like, oh, that's great. So yes, two halves can make a hell. And so I believe that two people who are relatively whole and evolving and actualized, when they get together, then there's this third thing called the relationship, which can be exponentially amazing, right? So I think you asked the question, uh, if I remember correctly, uh, what happens with, can't steer a parked car, right? So you have to, first of all, just begin moving towards having a life. Um, and once you do, and this, I watch this happen over and over. Once you say, honey, I'm gonna, go out with my friends on Thursday night and I'll be home at 9 o'clock. And you just do it. And whether she likes it or not, she can say, oh, what are you doing? I don't know where you're going. I don't know, you know. But there's another part of her that goes, wow, he's like his own man. That's kind of attractive. I had a friend who we have a live meetup group that we do in person here in Fort Collins, and he was dating this fantastic woman, new situation. They were at his house and they were, hanging out and just ate dinner. And he said, okay, I got to kick you out now because I'm going to my men's meeting. And she said, what? Are, you're going to go to your men's meeting when I could meet you in the bedroom right now naked? And he said, it's so tempting, but yeah. And she kissed him on the lips and said, "That is so sexy." And off he went. She respected the fact that he had his own, life, and that he was committed to his growth and his own vitality, because she knew he'll bring that back to the relationship. So if you don't nourish yourself and outside, you think your partner is supposed to do that 100%, uh, you both will get drained over time, is my experience.
Yeah, this is so important because my next question was going to be 50% of marriages end in divorce. At least this is the
At least,
predominant statistic.
yeah.
My curiosity is why and how can we prevent, like, looking at the ideal expression of men, like what should they be reaching and aiming for, even beyond just having a life? Like what specifically in order to prevent it?
How long we got?
Maybe top three summary points.
I know. Give me the executive summary. I'll try. One thing, by the way, the other statistic that's a little alarming is that somewhere around uh, two-thirds to 75% of all divorces are initiated by women,
Huh,
if that tells you anything.
yeah.
But on the other side, Dr. John Gottman, the marriage relationship researcher and brilliant guy, he said, gentlemen, men have more effect on the positive outcome in their marriage than women do. What
Hmm.
you do and how you act has more effect. And this is after decades of studying thousands of couples. So it's a little bit of a cautionary warning of, hey, you have all of the ability and the opportunity to steer this thing in a great direction, but you got to do it. So what, number one, yeah, be a leader, and be really, I like to say, be a lighthouse for your
Hmm.
marriage. And I can take this metaphor probably way too far, but I believe, what is a lighthouse? Well, it's this monolith that stands as a object of safety. It says safe. Okay. There's rocks, there's storms. Oh, look at that. Okay. See, we're on the same page.
It's an important metaphor in my life too.
Yeah, me too. And when they build one, they put these pylons down in the rock to anchor it. And where is it? It's right on the edge. It's on the edge. It's where all the action is. It's the storms come in and the waves and everything. And it's just like, "Grr, I'm here." Um, and then it's got this light that it shines out, right? Which is so attractive and so welcoming. It's like, hey, safe harbor. Go this way, over here. Don't go over there. Bad stuff. And the ships that pay attention, they do that, and they're safe. So if you can be that in a relationship, the safe place for her, because women, they're wired to want security and safety.
Mhm.
And what does that mean? It means emotional safety more than anything. When guys say to me, she told me she didn't trust me. I don't understand. I've never cheated. I don't gamble. I'm not a drug addict or an alcoholic. I don't scream and yell. I've never hit her. And I'm like, well, I'm glad to hear all that. It's a little bit of a low bar to set for
Yeah,
yourself, but
what I'm hearing.
okay. It's a
Yeah.
start. It's a baseline. I said, but that's not what she's talking about. What she's talking about is you don't know who you are and what you stand for,
Mm,
and what uh, your boundaries are, and your values that are like, no matter what, this is how I am and how I expect myself to be. That's number one. And you don't know what you really want. You're kind of wandering through life, seeing what comes up. And thirdly, you don't know where you're going.
mm,
You don't have a North Star. And my ex-wife said, you have no plan. You don't know where our family's going and going to be in 5 years, or you have no notion. You're not haven't even thought about it. Go ahead. That was important to her.
Without vision, the people perish. Without purpose, the people pander. And this is
Oh,
where most men find themselves, I imagine, before the
yes,
divorce happens.
absolutely. So another thing would be to know who you are, uh, know the type of life you want to create. That's what really the question, what do I want? I ask guys, what do you want? And they tell me what they don't want. Well, I don't want all this arguing and I don't want all, this lack of sex and I don't want, okay, great. What do you want? And then I get kind of a blank stare. And I believe the answer to that question that makes any sense or is useful is not, I want more money, I want a better job, I want more sex, any of that. It's what experience of life do you want to create? Is it fun, adventure, love, depth, tenderness, wisdom? I mean, there's all sorts of things you can create. And then the how is, that'll happen, right? So, who am I? What do I want? And then do you have any idea where you want to head? What guides you? What's your North Star? What do you stand for? And so back to the metaphor, the lighthouse stands really securely and is trustable, right? You trust the lighthouse.
Mhm.
Now, one thing the lighthouse never, never does is jump in the water and chase the boats around.
Yeah.
So, pandering, being a nice guy, a la Dr. Robert Glover, uh, doing that thing like happy wife, happy life, which sounds on the outside like, well, yeah, of course. But what's underneath it is, doesn't matter if I'm happy, fulfilled, have purpose, direction. As long as she's happy, then she won't make my life hell.
Mm.
I am all for people being happy in relationships, but ultimately it starts with you. If you're not happy inside of you first, you got an empty cup, empty bucket with holes in it. I like metaphors, by the way.
Yeah.
And so no matter how much someone pours love into that, it just drains out. So once you've repaired your own bucket of goodness and love, then what you add to someone's and they add to you, it's like overflow. It's like that's that my cup overfloweth, that idea. It's like, yeah, then you can I like to say serve from the saucer. So you can offer, like, it's so easy to be generous when you feel abundant in love, right? So your question was, I keep wandering off on tangents, but
Right.
yeah, what maybe so three things. One, know who you are, know what you want, know where you're going, and be confident in that. Because confidence is there's so many different types and ways of showing confidence, but it's very attractive in general to uh, the feminine.
Mhm.
It's not, and it's why women go after bad boys sometimes because they mistake arrogance and cockiness and being a dick uh, with confidence.
Mm.
Because what they find out later is that that guy screws you over. But
Mm.
at first, wow, he seems to really know himself and doesn't take any crap and all this. So how do you, as a man, how can you be confident, courageous, and also be compassionate and empathetic?
Mm.
Can you be both? I, I, I think the answer is absolutely 100%. And so I think that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah. It definitely gives our people something to aspire and reach for. So to get into the nitty gritty, how do you diffuse the divorce bomb? And I know this is another executive summary I'm looking
I
for.
know it's like you ask the big questions, Lewis. So that's the name of our online course, How to Diffuse the Divorce Bomb.
Cool.
And we worked a long time to come up with that name specifically because we wanted it to be really on point. We wanted it to be edgy a little bit, but
Mhm.
we didn't want it to be a promise of something that isn't deliverable. And one of my little picadillos is that there are some out there that say, turn your marriage around in 3 days. And I'm like, if you could turn your marriage around in 3 days, then you didn't have much of a problem to begin with,
Yeah, that sounds right.
right? Or at best, it's going to be short-lived because you're going to pander and make promises and all sorts of things, right? Um, So we didn't want to say we can fix your marriage, we can end your divorce, guaranteed your money back, kind of thing. We didn't. We're very straight shooters, and we don't want to lie to anyone. So what is the divorce bomb? That's the first question. Not just how do you diffuse it, but what is the divorce bomb? Well, it's a couple things. When men come into our community, it's the thing that their wife has dropped on them in their lap, saying, "I'm not happy, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I need time and space, and maybe away from you." So that's the first bomb, and they feel blown up, right? As they start doing the work with us, they realize that the real bomb is in here. It's in their own chest. It's the ticking clock that says, I got to fix this right now. The world is ending, and it becomes grasping and clinging and nervous, needy behavior that basically pushes her away. And just about anyone I've known who has gone through a divorce without coaching or without some sort of help, they go immediately to begging, pleading, and making promises and all sorts of things, which they think, and grand gestures. I sent her 50 roses. The guy told me the other day. I'm like, and how did that work? She was offended. I don't understand. I said, yeah, because,
Trying to answer the wrong question with those roses.
yeah, it felt for her like you don't get it,
Yeah.
as usual. You
Yeah.
don't hear me and see me. And what are you trying to buy me? What is this? Get rid of the roses and how about you just listen for a little bit, kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And so the divorce bomb that's most important is when you can become calm and clear headed and confident and show up with skills that she suddenly goes, who is this guy? Where you been? Oh, wow, this is interesting. You're actually not just trying to convince me how wrong I am all the time. Because that's the other thing that comes up for guys is she's wrong and bad because she wants to break up our family and ruin our lives.
Mm.
And I always ask them, I say, well, I know it feels that way. I understand that. Felt that way to me. But putting yourself in her shoes, how do you feel like living with someone and interacting with someone who is constantly telling you one way or the other with body language, facial expressions, verbal, you know, tirades, you're wrong and you're bad and you're broken and you need to be fixed? Is that like, gee, I want to cozy up with this guy?
Yeah.
No. So that's the real time bomb that you have to diffuse. We use a metaphor in that there's the needy nervous behavior is like the way a hummingbird is.
Mm.
So if you've ever watched hummingbirds, their wings beat a million miles, a second, and they're always moving. I've never seen one sitting, I don't think ever. I don't even know if they have legs. And they're just darting and hovering and you imagine being a hummingbird husband, what that would be like, hovering and wondering and asking questions like, are you okay? Are we okay? How are you feeling? What do you feel about me? Do you like me? It's not attractive. And we live, I'm up in the Colorado Rockies. We have a lot of mountain lions up here. And if you've ever watched a mountain lion without, when they're relaxed, and I haven't close up, but I've seen videos in the zoo, they have this quiet strength. They lay on a rock and they're sort of looking at their domain and they're going, yeah, it's all good. And you know that if they had to like defend themselves or their pride, they would and they could,
Mm.
but they're not nervous about it. And you ever see those videos where the little cubs come and the lion's laying there and the cubs are pulling on his ears and everything like that. And he's just like, it's okay. And then every once in a while he goes, rah, like that. And the cubs skitter away. To me, those are the two different energies. One is hummingbird, one is mountain lion. And which is more attractive? Uh, and especially to the feminine that wants to feel safe, secure, and warm and cozy and happy.
Mm.
So you could be a mountain lion lighthouse, a mountain lion in a lighthouse. And and so when you diffuse the divorce bomb, that's some of the first things that you do is you stop, being a needy hummingbird little boy kind of and become a confident man who's like, I'm good. My business partner wrote a list of about 42 traits of what he called a happily divorced man. And he said, you can be a happily divorced man and be married. Because after guys get divorced, they suddenly, if they do their work and they don't just crawl into a hole, um, they're more confident, they're more free, they're more easygoing. There are lots of different 42 different things he came up with in one sitting. And he said, so how can you be, could you be that and still and be in your relationship? Um, and we could do another one. We'll go through the 42, but
Yeah.
I think that's a partial answer. There's a lot of different things that need to be optimized. And I like in your work, one of the things I really like about it, because I read your whole website, and it's this idea you're not broken.
Uh-huh.
This
Yeah.
is not about becoming someone else or putting on a costume and a mask or pretending. It's what's already in there that just got covered up because I, you know, life, the world, society, your family, all of it kind of does a pile-on of stuff. And some of it's good and some of it's crap. And we don't often stop and think, what do I need to shake off that doesn't serve anymore? I watched my parents and their relationship. I grew up, I learned this, I was taught this, and, religion said that, and whatever it is. And some of it you go, I got buried underneath this somehow. So part of the diffusing of the divorce bomb is coming back into who you really are, the best version of you, the best person, and expressing that, like filling the space again. And I'm not talking about what is it, man's spreading, or what is it when guys supposedly take up too much space or something?
Mansplaining, but that's not
No,
quite
it's
it.
not splaining. It's like something else where you sit on the subway with your knees really wide or something.
Talking? I mean,
Yeah, just whatever. The point is, this is not about puffing up.
hmm,
It's about noticing where you have shrunk, where
hmm,
have you become smaller, and really filling the full space as a way of being impactful in the world and in your world, in your family. Uh, and so there are guys who, because the divorce rate is high, our community is not going to have, 90% success rate because again, it's not just one person.
mhm.
And some men are some women too, uh, anti-divorce, and I understand who would be pro-divorce, but anti to the point like it's not in my vocabulary and it's not going to happen. Sometimes this is a religious belief, a lot
Mhm.
of times. And I understand it. I get it. I was raised half Catholic. Uh, my mother, but that's enough to be all Catholic, it turns out. I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
my mother was Roman Catholic, and that's enough to just mow over anything else, though. You know, a Presbyterian doesn't stand a chance against against that. So I know, I understand, and I get it. I have empathy for that, having that deeply held belief. But I always tell my guys, yes, and there's no scenario in which you stay married and she divorces you.
Mhm,
Not in the modern world. It doesn't work that way.
mhm,
So this idea that you're going to put her in a pumpkin shell and or something and keep her, it's not going to it's a bad attitude to have because she feels that and she just wants to run away as fast as possible. So uh I think I got on another track but
Uh, it's all
point
good.
is, it's all good. It's all a stream of consciousness. So the point is, if you can, the fear of divorce is often what can preclude divorce or make it almost inevitable.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
If you cannot accept the fact that it might happen,
Yeah.
not your preference, not what you'd like,
Uh-huh.
but that it's one of the very, very real possibilities, then you'll just do things that you're not even aware of that make it worse, not better, out of your fear.
Mhm.
And so that's another part of diffusing the divorce bomb is knowing that if we get divorced, I won't die. I'll be okay. It's not my first choice. I'd love this to turn out differently. Sure. So there's guys in our community, yes, who have gone through divorce, come out the other side. They have awesome lives.
Mm.
They're very happy. Sometimes they get into long-term relationships not long after that. We always try to get them to slow down a little bit, but now they're having a relationship they always wanted. And then there's the guys like one of our elders. He's probably in his mid to late 70s. He divorced his wife, or she divorced him. He spent 2 years working with us, and then they got remarried, and they're happily remarried now.
Yeah,
So,
so I love this. The itch is too strong over here. There were three questions I was going to hand you. One was like how to do divorce well. We'll point people in the direction of the conscious uncoupling work for that, just for the sake of time.
yep,
So that's
right.
you're concurring on that.
Absolutely.
And I really want to know how to come back from it because that'd be fascinating. But before that, how do you know when to give up on trying to cut the wire and just letting it blow up? Like what is that critical threshold moment in your program for men where they realize, all right, I just got to surrender. Like I lost this one. This is all right. This is how it's going to go.
Yeah, that's interesting because you mentioned surrender. The surrender comes first
Uh-huh.
before the decision.
Oh, what I mean is like, how do they know when trying to continue to put effort into recovering the thing? And it's also tricky because it's probably can be weaved into the question of like, how do you actually recover it later?
Yeah,
How do you know when it's worth coming back to and working on and putting effort into to try to save it or to try to redeem it later? Yeah, I guess that's a better framing.
I think the most direct answer to that is this. When you know who you are, and when I mean by that, like I said earlier, if you know what your values are, what do you value? Your priorities, your non-negotiable, unalterable terms, as Wayne Levine says. I don't know if you know that book, Hold On to Your Nuts.
Great book title.
Yeah, and nuts stands for non-negotiable, unalterable terms. That's the bottom line stuff. In other words, when you really know that and you're willing to stand by that, then there might be things in the relationship that are just deal breakers.
Hmm.
And one of them might be she's already packed her bags and she's out the door. I at least have to accept what the reality is. That doesn't mean that is the end. In fact, if anything, that's the beginning of something else. And especially if you have kids, you're not going to be co-parents. So how do you do it well? Well, first of all, you want to be a great co-parent. So that's how you do it well. How do you know? That might be one reason. And this just comes up all the time. She's having an emotional affair. She's
Yeah.
having a physical affair, whatever. And that's where I have to ask the question, is that a deal breaker for you? Now, I don't pretend to know it's individual. Somebody might say, no, I'm not yet. Somebody else might say, absolutely, hard stop. If she's going to go be with someone else, then we're done.
Hmm.
And I respect any of those decisions as long as it's done from a place of clarity and knowing, well, then what game are you ultimately playing here? A game worth playing. I don't mean it like
Yeah.
tricks and things. I mean just um, what's your North Star? Where are you going? And it might be I'm going to continue to work on making my life awesome and and if I have the opportunity to invite her to come along with me on this new trajectory that I wasn't on before, I was headed towards the rocks,
Hmm.
then I'll do that. And if she says yes and means it, and we can reconcile with forgiveness and healing, great. And I always say that, if you're going to invite her onto your boat to take a new course, you can't show up in a leaky canoe.
Uh-huh. Yes.
You, it doesn't have to be a 100-foot yacht, but it's got to have some attractiveness to it. So when you say, "Hey, sweetheart, come on aboard. Let's go. Let's do this thing called life." And so it's so individual. When do I get that question all the time? Is it time to quit? Is it time to quit? And some of it is checking in with yourself. We aren't taught as men how to, you know, listen to intuition or measure our gut feeling. And I love the fact that gut feeling is not just a metaphor because we have so many neural pathways and synapses in our gut. It's where most of the serotonin is made in our body.
Mm.
And so when you feel something in your gut, that's they call it our second brain. It's not just metaphorical anymore. It's like, oh, that's like something going on there. Pay
Mhm.
attention to it.
Mhm.
It's not the whole story, but if you feel something intuitively, I always like to listen to that and go, could be. More clarity will come. But have you ever felt uneasy about a situation or a person and you didn't listen to that? And later on you went, I knew it. I
Mhm.
just knew it.
Mhm.
How'd you know? Somehow we sense things in many more ways than just the one, us sighted people, we use our eyes for everything. And a pretty woman can turn our head, right? And we go, as a one friend of mine said, yeah, I saw the red flags, but I just thought it was a carnival. It's like, yeah, it was actually the House of Horrors. It turns out it was not a full carnival. So, uh, these are really important and deep questions that are hard to answer in a few minutes.
Well, this is a teaser trailer for my people of you, right?
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. So, my last question here today, though it would have been my first, and being a professional marketer and knowing to serve the audience in front of me, like, had me hold this question until the end. Like, there's this thing that you've done that is mysterious that not many people do or even talk about, and where you are in a relationship again with someone who you had a divorce with. Talk to me about that. How did you do that? And why did you end up doing that? Like what?
Why did you think that was a good idea?
I mean, obviously you do. It seems to be
Yeah.
working for you. So
Yes. And it's interesting. So the backstory is just that we got divorced in 2016, which was the catalyst for me moving from generalized men's work to uh, helping men with relationships and divorce. Nothing better than teaching what you know. Uh, so the crucible of divorce, uh, taught me a lot by and it really is that thing they say where it's like, don't make the mistakes I did. I can save you time. That's just absolutely true. And so it's been, what, 8 years, I guess. And about a year ago, and you have to, if there's such a thing as a good divorce, we had it. We didn't follow the conscious uncoupling, steps that are in the book, but we had conscious uncoupling. We knew that no matter what, we were going to be great co-parents and that we still were friends, that I cared deeply and she cared deeply, and I wanted her to thrive and she wanted me to thrive. So we really set aside a lot of stuff and just when we got divorced. So that was the basis of it, that it wasn't ugly. There was nobody else involved. There was no duplicity or shenanigans with money or anything. She helped me find the house that I live in, and it was perfect and, things like that. And then over time, We continued to be co-parents. We continued to be in each other's lives to whatever extent. We dated other people. So, we were still very close enough for people to say, "Are you sure you're divorced?
Hmm.
I mean, really? You get along so well. Why are you divorced?" And say, "Well, I have trouble cohabitating. That's one reason." And about a year ago, we started spending more time together. And my business partner, who's also a coach, he said, I was commenting about this. I said, well, last night I was talking to Barb, and her name's Barb. And he said, hold on, how many times a week do you talk to her? I said, about 3 times a day. He went, hold the phone, Chuck. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Hmm.
3 times a day? I said, sometimes 4 or 5. And he goes, really? Does that tell you anything? I said, yeah, she's the first person I want to talk to in the morning and the last person I want to talk to at night and several times in between. And he said, does she feel that way? I said, yeah, she picks up the phone or she calls me. And it's true. We did both feel that way. It was just, and so we rediscovered our friendship in a very deep way without having all the other things that come with cohabitating with another imperfect human. It gave us a room to breathe and say, that's why I fell in love with you. I remember. That's why you're my friend. And we started being able to see each other with fresh eyes, is what I would call it, and got closer and closer, and finally went, you know, I sure like spending time with you. Me too. And then we both went, now that doesn't mean anything. We're not rushing into anything because we were both very cautious.
Gun shy, yeah.
Yeah, not wanting to scare the other person away. So just we were just open to the idea of, you know what? I've dated, I've seen what's out there. And at the end of the day, nobody compares to you. Not that I'm comparing, but I was comparing, of course. How can you not? And when you feel that way about someone and you've gotten, and you know what? We both did our work.
Hmm.
She's a coach as well.
Cool.
And which is kind of like having, being married to a therapist. I mean, she has 2 degrees in psychology and all that. And that can be a trap
Yeah.
because we're smart. We know how to play the game, right? So we have to go call each other like, don't give me psychobabble. Come on, let's be real. And so, but we both did our work and we worked hard at it, letting go of a lot of stuff that we needed to just go, that doesn't work anymore. Judgment and complaining and so many different things. And at this point, we still live in separate houses. I don't know if we'll ever have a piece of paper that says we're married again. Maybe. It's still unclear when we'll live together again. I mean, I could see us living in houses next door to each other because we have very different styles of living,
Yeah.
but we are partners in every sense you can imagine. And it is the Cinderella story because at the end of the day, we have 35 years together of ups and downs and the trenches and the high points and love and fighting and references and experiences. And when you just can look at someone and they know what you mean without saying anything, like they can almost read your mind, and you have that kind of connection, because ultimately, I would say to anybody listening, work on loving connection first. Everyone says, oh, it's communication. That's not the first thing. Because you can communicate. I was really good at communicating just how much I was angry and didn't like her. I was good at it. So communication isn't, just the panacea. But if you're lovingly connected to someone, which is how we stayed all during our divorce, was in loving connection, then you have that's like the umbrella from which everything flows, or the overarching thing. Then you can have great communication. Then you can have great uh, intimacy. Then you can have great conversations, and you can even have arguments. Imagine that. Disagree on something. But if you have loving connection, that conduit isn't broken. Okay, then an argument doesn't become scorched earth. So
Amazing.
I
I,
guess that's how we did it.
that's just spectacular and fascinating and intriguing and such a niche thing that like we
Yeah, I
definitely
think that at some point there's a book in there that we'll
yeah,
write together. Uh,
please and let me
yes.
know.
But and I think I told you before we went on the air, uh, I don't think it has to take 8 years. We're just slow and stubborn.
Oh, you are a national treasure, sir. I really appreciate you and you sharing your wisdom and yeah, how do people find out more? Where do we find
Where
more?
do they go? Well, the first most easy one to remember is timwadecoaching.com. So that's pretty straightforward. And if you're interested in the course, if you're up against a marriage that's in crisis, you can go to howtodefusethedivorcebomb.com. And it's defuse, Defuse, not diffuse, like to remove the fuse. People always go, wait, did you spelled it wrong? I'm like, no. So that those are two places you could go immediately to find out.
Epic. Well, what's next for you? Just like 30 seconds. What are you creating?
What am I creating? I'm creating another group coaching program, which will be a year long. Um, it's basically called Lionhearted Living. Uh, Grab life by the balls and become the man you know you are.
I love that.
And that's going to be a small cohort. And we're going to be in Mexico doing a retreat at the end of February. And that's a new retreat. We've done Mexico before, but this is a brand new one. And it's basically how to playfully push your edge with confidence. So it's going to be a lot of experiential ways to stretch out of your comfort zone. Some of it's adventure, like zip lining and rappelling off rocks, and some of it is social, like uh, asking a woman to dance that you don't know in a foreign country. So we're going to take salsa dancing lessons, and then do things like that, just to see, like, can you face your discomfort and fear, come out the other end, and have a story to tell. So that's on the horizon.
Super delightful. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate you. And to everyone who's been gracious enough to give us their listening for this time, please like, share, subscribe, check out Tim, and go make love easy, y'all. Peace.
Take care.